Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Cooking with Lauren. Today I am actually not going to be in the kitchen at all, at least not for this video. I am going to be teaching you about container gardening. I wanted to do an herb container garden and put some vegetables and flowers out there too, but mostly I started off with herbs because A, I know they're pretty easy and not so fussy to grow, and B, some of them come back next year, so they're a really good investment. And C, I don't really buy fresh herbs a lot. I will take some from work if there's some left over after the end of the week that are going to go bad over the weekend, but I usually don't buy them at the store unless I have a specific recipe I'm making. So I'm really hoping this will help me to incorporate more fresh herbs into my daily cooking because I have them literally right outside my door. So if you're interested, keep watching and I'm going to tell you the 4 things that you need to know to start your container garden. I promise it is so simple and you will have a lot of fun doing it, I think. Alright, so the first thing you need to know is you need to think about the type of container you're going to grow in. That is going to be determined by a few different things. First of all, please just get a container that has some good drainage in it. You want drainage holes for your container. If not, the roots of your plant will rot and then your plants will be no more. So just don't do it, okay? Get a container with holes in the bottom. Next thing you need to think about is how big is my plant going to grow and how much space does it need? Some plants need a few inches, some plants need a few feet. So as you're buying your plant, look at that little tag that comes with your plant and see what it says the space that it needs so that you get a pot big enough for it to grow happy and healthy. A good rule of thumb is to get containers that are at least 1 gallon or bigger. So from like 1 to 5 gallons is probably a good manageable size to put in your container garden. Alright, second thing you need to know is you need to think about the sunlight that you have available to you. So there's probably different ways that you can do this, but you can figure out how much sunlight you have by choosing a nice sunny day and looking at your space that you're going to be putting your containers, and then just track the sunlight over the course of the day and see how much sunlight gets onto that space. Some parts of that space might get more sunlight than others, so you'll know that the high sunlight areas are great for plants that need a lot of sunlight, and then the low sunlight areas are great for places that need pretty low sunlight. So just track that and then look at the plants as you're buying them. Again, that little tag will tell you needs full sun, needs partial sun, might even tell you how many hours of the day it needs sun. So just think about that as you are buying your plants, again, so you can be as successful as possible. Next is water. So I talked a little bit about water with containers. You do want to get a container that can drain, but part of that drainage means that your water is draining out of your container. I got those little saucer plates that you can get for like houseplants and also for container plants, and I think that's going to be a really great option for me because 1, I did not want water going all over my patio and then my apartment building being really angry at me for ruining my patio, and then 2, because I'm hoping I can collect some of that water, and as long as my plants look healthy, I will reuse that water to water my other plants. And that's really, really good because some of the water is leaching out some of the nutrients that is in my soil and in the fertilizer that I'm putting in the soil. So I'm able to reuse some of those nutrients that are getting leached out. So that's really, really awesome. But since there is water draining out of your plant, you might have to water a little bit more than, say, if you were doing like raised beds or something like that. Just be aware of that as you're making your plan, again, on how much you're able to water and whether or not you can keep up the watering needs of your plants. One really good tip here with watering is to try to put plants together that have similar water needs. So for example, the hardy herbs like rosemary and thyme and oregano, they like to drain, or they like to dry out a little bit between waters. But if you put them in a pot together, then you can just water them similarly. So that's a really good pro tip. That came from other professionals, not for me. Alright, so number 4 is thinking about soil and fertilizer. So a good soil is going to provide nutrients for your plants, and it's also going to provide good drainage for your plants. Again, we don't want our plants getting root rot. That is gross and ruins our plants. You want to buy some soil from the store. Wherever you're getting your plants at, they probably have soil as well. So we need to buy soil, not dig up some soil from our backyard, because that's not going to really provide our plants with the right soil it needs. Soil and dirt are 2 different things, just FYI. So fertilizer is very important. As I mentioned with watering, nutrients are getting leached out of the soil as you're watering. And with container gardening, you are losing more water than usual. And that means losing more nutrients than usual. Usual being planting in beds or otherwise. So you want to think about fertilizer and make sure you are fertilizing your plants as they're growing, so that you make sure your soil has enough nutrients in it for your plants to be happy and healthy and successful. So that's all you really need to know to get started. You need to think about your container, you need to be aware of the watering needs, you need to know how much sunlight you have and can give your plants, and you need to buy some good soil and fertilizer to make your plants happy and healthy. Alright, so I'm going to change into something a little bit more garden friendly, and then I'm going to get outside and show you how to transplant some starts. Alright you guys, and that's all there really is to it. Hopefully that was helpful. I know it's pretty simple, but honestly for me, gardening feels very overwhelming because there's so many different ways to do it, so many different people do it different ways and have different trains of thought with it. Just really try to simplify things and put plants in containers and do your best to take care of them and learn along the way. I try to think about gardening as I think about cooking, which is that not every single time I'm going to be successful, and that's frustrating, but a part of the learning process. And B, that it's just experimenting, right? Like I'm experimenting in the kitchen all the time, and I'm experimenting with these plants and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. This is my first time ever planting in this space, so you know, it's all a learning experience. So hopefully whatever you decide to do will be successful, but just remember that you can always reflect and you can think about what you learned if it's not super successful. But that's it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed this and are staying happy and safe and in your home. And I hope you're getting outside some though and getting to enjoy nature, and maybe that's through planting, maybe that's through going on a walk in your neighborhood. But just make sure you get outside a little bit and get some of that sunlight, because as I mentioned, We are all like plants, just a little bit more complicated emotions. Although, I would say plants have emotions too. Maybe that's a topic for another video. Alright you guys, I'm gonna sign off here and let you get back to your day, but thank you for watching my video, and I hope to see you next time on Cooking with Lauren, where I promise we will do a little bit more cooking. Alright, see ya.